Hi everybody and welcome to episode 7 of the GAA and Gym podcast. My name is Oisin Quinn and today we have another guest on the podcast. I really enjoyed this podcast. I think it's going to be a good one. I think you'll all enjoy it. We have Meath, dual player, been actually playing for Meath since like 2003, 2004, still playing up to now and still playing pretty well. Really big into the gym side of things. Some of the numbers that he's told me he's lifted is fucking crazy. A 250 box squat, 275 deadlift, and has recently started in the personal training and the nutrition side of things, and is seemingly getting more into that industry of personal training, but has been in the gym for a long time and was really valuable to chat to because has been in the GAA since this whole gym culture has emerged. So it was really interesting to chat to. So yeah, without further ado, we have Mickey Burke on the podcast. This is a great one. Take notes. The vlog of our workout will be up on YouTube as well. The YouTube channel is just called Quinn Strength, or if you type in like workout with me senior football, it'll probably be there. And while you're there, check out the other videos we have and then subscribe, like them all. Helps me out, and then this podcast is going to be available everywhere. So share it around. But yeah, without further ado, the GAA and Gym podcast, episode 7 with Mickey Burke. Good to have you on the show.
How's it going, Oisin? Yeah, thanks a million for having me. Looking forward to chatting, lad.
There's going through your Instagram, you have a lot of things going on between the gloves and jerseys, and you're in personal training. How would you describe yourself?
Oh, how would I describe myself? I let other people kind of do that for me, but I suppose a little bit different. Always been my own man. Kind of not. I didn't try and stand out from the crowd on purpose, but that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have a huge passion for sport, for fitness, and for nutrition, and I've brought out a bit of gear in the last 6 months, I suppose. Brought out a bit of clothing and gloves and stuff like that.
And how do you think other people would describe yourself then if you're chatting about it?
Jeez, I don't know. I honestly don't know what people would make of me.
How did the name Honey Badger? Where does that come from?
Well, there is an animal.
I'm aware of like some of the things it does. It was kind of a bit.
It does. So it was kind of like, it's not the size of the dog; it's the fight in the dog.
Yes.
The honey badger is one of the strongest pound for pound animals out there, and most dangerous and strongest.
No fear,
exactly.
No
and
fear.
Does kill snakes and tackles spiders, anything. So I found it. I thought it was fairly apt and kind of a bit of crack around the club. And then I just kind of, when I started off my Instagram page, that's just what I went with.
And how is what did you make in this season this year?
It's not too bad, lad. Like we achieved our goals, which was getting to Division 1 and to get to the Super 8. I think it was massively important for Meath football to get to Division 1, to be playing 6-7 games next year at the highest standard. So and then obviously we got 3 really good games in the Super 8. So
what did you make of the Super 8?
Pardon?
What did you make of the Super 8? Did you think it was good or?
Oh, fantastic to be playing in it.
Yeah.
You know, do I think it's good? Probably though for the whole of the. Do I think it's success? Probably not, because there's some dead rubber games, and I still think it's leaving out the so-called weaker counties, which I have a huge, which is a bugbear of mine, because it's not doing anything for the weaker counties.
Yeah. What do you think can be done for counties like that? Think a tier championship's the way to go, or?
I think a tier championship is probably a way to go. I would love if there be a Champions League style format where there's teams are seeded and everyone's going to get at least 5 or 6 games maybe, but that's probably never going to happen. But look at any other sport. Look at the Premier League, you have the Championship, you have League 2. Look at any rugby divisions. Like the worst team doesn't get to play the best. Unless it's a cup competition or something like that. And that's no disrespect to any other counties, it's just being realistic. But I do think that the weaker counties have to get more than 2 games to improve in the championship. It's just very unfair for the like of, we'll say, if you're a Waterford footballer, You lose in the Munster Championship to Kerry, then you get maybe Armagh or Derry or a Galway or a Meath or something in the qualifier. Next thing, bang, you're gone and your football's over. How are they meant to develop? How are them counties meant to improve?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's even as well, it's wild hard to motivate yourself, you know, if you're from a county like that and the manager's saying we're going to be out 4 or 5 times a week and need you to do this, need you to do that, for you maybe to get a couple of games like and maybe get a hammer, it's wild hard to motivate yourself that, like.
Unbelievable. And I have huge respect for the boys, them counties that are doing that. Like, I agree completely with that. It's I don't know, very, very tough mentally to keep doing that, but I think a 2-tier championship, market it right, call it the Paddy O'Shea tournament or something like that. Have it in Croke Park, have it on telly.
Yeah. Like,
let's not just have a kind of a hearsay tournament and just do it just for the sake of it, and it has to be done right and promoted right for the players.
I think that's it. Like, I think if it was organised properly, it was given enough airtime, there's no reason it couldn't be. It couldn't be. Like, I think it's just you have to get away from the stigma that it's not like it's not the All Ireland, you know, it's just another championship. It's like a Community Shield and the FA Cup and Premier League. They're all different, but they're pretty much all the same, you know, the same value to an extent, like in terms of football.
Yeah.
You know, it's just trying to not make it seem like it's just complete lesser competition.
Yeah, I think, you know, like I'm saying, marketing right, have it on telly, have it maybe before an All-Ireland semi-final or something, and maybe the carrot is that if you win it during the All-Ireland Championship the following year and you know that you're going to be playing, you know, higher grade of football. So I think that would be important to do for development of football in Ireland in general.
I think so. How many seasons now have you been playing with Meath?
Well, I came into the squad in 04, the winter of 2004. Jeez, I can't believe I'm saying that now myself. But played minor in 03, and got called in 04. Sean Boylan was the manager at the time. That's how long ago that is. So that was obviously there was no history of anyone playing football for Meath from my area.
Okay.
It wasn't a done thing. It was I'm from a hurling area, as I was telling you, kind of off air. So Sean Boylan was the manager, and he took a punt on me. He must have, I don't know, seen something maybe he liked and got a bit of luck, and I've been knocking around since. So.
Is it still? Do you still get the same buzz playing for Meath now as you did whenever you just came onto the panel? You know, and is it still the same?
I do. And probably that I'm coming to the end of my career, maybe in a way. Well, I hope, you know, if another couple of years, years maybe playing, you cherish it more. Like I said, no history of anyone from Longwood playing football at Meath, so it was massive for the area and my family, and for the club. So. To me, Jersey it's a religion down here. It's football mad. Now, we haven't had the success that we in previous years, you know, and the success that we want. But it's you know, you think of certain jerseys and you know, Meath would be a real, you know, iconic jersey and passionate football county. So it gives me great motivation to go train and do everything properly and respect the jumper.
Yeah, I think the fact you've been playing so long, you know, you've obviously been able to do something right outside of football to keep that longevity, like. I think that's something you seem to be really interested in, is that longevity as well, just from chatting to you for a wee bit there.
Well, I think that, you know, I don't want to say that anyone, because it'd be disrespectful, could play for a year or two, but I think, you know, you see great soccer players, great Gaelic footballers, hurlers, all sports, rugby, and if they play for, you know, 10, 12, 15 years, you kind of have, like Johnny Doyle, for example, in Kildare, would be a really, really tough guy. Like, never won medals, but he'd have the respect of the country for his achievements playing with Kildare, and he played to a ripe old age. And look, I've had a long career. I didn't think at the start, as I'm saying, I'd play one game with Meath, never mind the amount I have, but it's something I don't take for granted, and it's something every time I go out I try and give it my all and do my best pushing, you know.
You played hurling for Meath as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I'm from a hurling area. Longwood would be senior hurling, and all the clubs around us would be hurling. So massive love for the game, and I actually made my debut for the Meath Senior Hurlers before the footballers. I played in '04 for the hurlers against Laois in the Leinster Championship, and then got called into the football. But yeah, I would have played dual for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years. Tough going now at times. But
how do you manage that? Like,
it's not easy. You look at sometimes you're playing on a Saturday and then you're playing on a Sunday, but you're young and you're enthusiastic and you're
able to get through.
You're a bundle of energy, like you're a bundle of glycogen running around the place, like so. Yeah, and again, I love doing it, and it was something I wanted to do, and you know, like the footballer, like some of the footballers in Meath, like be looking at you as if to say, why are you playing, like, you know, but they don't. They're not from a hurling area and they don't have that drive for it. So it was tough. I had to mind myself. I was hopping into ice baths and I was trying to keep loose for the next day, and you know, doing all them little kind of 1%ers that I've always been interested in. So
is that what's kind of led you down into that kind of side of things, you know, that fitness side of things, gym training, recovery, or is that something you've always been interested in, you know, regardless of the fact you were doing dual?
Yeah, like it was something I was always passionate about. I came from, you know, a physically active family. We had a sheep farm, so I was kind of in my own way. People asked me about, you know, your strength and your gym work and that, and like we had a big sheep farm, and I was, you know, pulling and dragging sheep behind the bar. I was walking. I know, you know, like it's just, you know, like you'd be as a young fella. So I was physically active. Then you're playing sport. Even going to school, I remember laughing about it now. Like I always brought in a big box of fruit for lunch, and I don't know why I did it. I didn't have the research to do it, but I just always did it.
You just knew.
I just knew that it wasn't the right thing to be doing every day, going eating breakfast rolls and eating sweets every single day. Like, don't get me wrong, I had a breakfast roll in secondary school or a few sweets here and there, but the boys used to laugh at me, you know, Jesus, Mickey, why are you bringing in fruit all the time? Like, you know, it's just something I did. And you know, I carried that on in my sporting career, looking after myself. It's something I'm very passionate about.
It's funny, like I remember back in school too, it was before kind of like fitness now is such a mainstream thing, and before, you know, I was in school, it was kind of just coming into that stage. But I remember going to school with like salads or something, or, you know, a couple of chicken breasts cooked the night before, and I was like, what do you add, like? Whereas now it's just, that's normal. You know, it's funny how things have changed so much in that kind of that realm, like.
Yeah, and I don't know, again, like I'm trying to say, like, this is like I was back in school in '03, '04. I repeated the Leaving Cert, like, and I wasn't like, there wasn't the books or podcasts like you're doing or stuff to give you this information. I still don't know why. It just seemed like the right thing to be doing, you know. It's gas, and it's a bugbear of mine that healthy eating now in schools and stuff like, it's actually more expensive to be eating healthier than, you know, you can go out and you can buy a load of sweets and chocolate very cheaply. Whereas, you know, if you want to eat healthier, you know, you have to spend money on it. So anyway, that's probably a conversation for another day.
I think that dual player, I think it's really interesting chatting to you about this, because I don't think maybe people will understand, like, just if you can give maybe like what would be a kind of a week in life in terms of training, you know, when you have both of those teams, like how do you balance both of them?
Yeah, well, it was very tough. So I'd understand the managers when I was doing it. Obviously I'm just playing the football now, but when I was doing it was tough. So you'd probably be, well, say on a Monday maybe you had well, just say for argument's sake, you had gym Tuesday, maybe you're with the footballers. Maybe on the Monday as well, I probably had to try and get to the hurling wall for half an hour to keep my eye in. Wednesday I could have been with the hurlers out in the pitch. Thursday probably again I was with the footballers. I never missed football. That was probably one of the main things. I never missed the football sessions out in the pitch, as the Meath football managers did not want me to miss that. But I was going to the ball wall a lot on my own. I was trying to make any hurling sessions that I could. And then obviously on game days, then, you know, if I was with the hurlers on the Saturday, I'd try and recover straight away as best I can with good food and supplements, and, you know, I'd wear my compression gear, skins and that on if it was a bus journey, or plenty of water, hydration. Might even sleep in me skins in bed. Just like I'm saying, any kind of
You were living basically a professional athlete's life.
Yeah, any 1%ers that I could gain. Like I've done all the research in Google about sleep and compression and ice baths and anything like that. And the Sunday then you're with the footballers. Like, it was tough when there was a game. It was fine when it was maybe week on week, but if there was times when, like, I remember a Saturday I think we had a championship match for the footballers in the qualifiers, and the Sunday we had Christy Ring against Down. They're just little things in my head that, you know, they were tough. That was tough to back up, but like I'm saying, you were younger.
You were able to get through it.
You were able to get through it, and I wanted to do it. And some people don't want to do that and wouldn't have any interest in it, but I wanted to kind of play as many games and play at that level, you know.
Is there anything you were saying there about recovery methods? Like, I'm sure over the past couple of years, like, training has changed so much and there's so much information out there. Is there anything that you done, most looking back now, you kind of are regretting, like, or wincing that you done, like any crazy methods or anything like that, or were you always ice baths and the standard ones?
Yeah, ice bath. I've done some mad stuff, lad. I couldn't say it on like I broke my leg in 2010. I remember putting my bed up in stilts. So, like, I put loads of books on the ends of my bed, so my bed was tilted like that, so the blood would run down away from me tibia and fibula. Like, that's not even half the maddest stuff, but like I was saying to you, kind of off air, like, I don't cringe now when guys 30 start doing recovery methods and things like that, but like, I was wearing the skins, I was eating my vegetables, I was, hydrating, I was stretching after training. I love me sleep. I'm a big sleeper. Yeah. Oisin, it's probably my...
Have you read that book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker?
No, I haven't read that now, no.
It's a good read. He's been on Joe Rogan's podcast, a few other ones, but once you read it would scare you into sleeping. Like, some of the stats, like, one of them was whenever the clock changes and you lose an hour of sleep, that's the time of the year when there's the biggest spike in car accidents, because people are losing just like 1 or 2 hours of sleep from it. Wow. Like, it's some of the stats in it are crazy how important sleep is.
Yeah, there was, like, when I googled, there's a guy called Nick Littlehales is his name.
Yeah, I read that book as well.
Yeah, Man United.
He was United and all.
Yeah, Fergie got him in 20 years ago or whatever, and basically only 3 lads went to the meeting. So he met the whole squad, and he says, right, lads, we'll meet again. Only 3 lads came back to meet him. There was Gary Neville, there was Roy Keane, and there was Ryan Giggs. And I said, right, I'm going to read a little bit more on this now, and the mattress and the sunlight coming in,
yeah,
all those little things. And like I said, I've always been a bit different, but I'm just looking for marginal gains. I'm looking for any type of advantage I can get. And even if that's in the head more so than that, I'm sure that's half the battle,
I think so, and I think now everybody is trying to chase them wee 1%, whereas you've probably had the advantage of doing it for a long time. But now recovery is becoming such a big thing, which it probably wasn't. Training is now a massive thing, and nutrition. I think it's great to see that that's all happening now, and it's becoming more mainstream. But it's I think sometimes the biggest gains is in the wee simple things, like you were saying, like sleeping 8 hours, 7 hours, eating good food. If you're doing that, that's like 40-50% of it, and everything else on top of it's a bonus. Like,
yeah, people, I think, as you're saying there, Russian, like, people maybe look for the golden nugget, or the magic pill, or and it's simple things like, your mother eat your meat and your 2 or 3 veg there for your dinner, and be active, be mobile, don't be sitting down too much, and then the other things are just get your sleep, and as you said, drink water. Like, they're the simple things that people can control.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just kind of a top up, like supplements and all things like that, or just to age or recovery and things.
I had Conor Neal was on the podcast, last week's podcast, and he was chatting about, you look at it like a pyramid, and the base being like your energy balance and all this is for like weight loss. But say in our case, like the bottom would be your nutrition. So you're eating good food, you're eating vegetables, you're getting your sleep, and then like the very, very top point of the pyramid would be supplements. It's like the cherry on top. But the first thing people ask you is, what supplements should I take? What supplements should I take? And it's like, let's not worry about that. Let's worry about the fact you're only sleeping 4 hours. Let's worry about the fact that you don't eat any fruit or veg. If you worry about that, that's probably going to give you a much bigger advantage in taking a protein shake.
Absolutely. Like, supplements is just to supplement your good habits, I suppose, in your diet. I'm going back to study nutrition, as I was telling you, and something I've always been interested in, and hopefully become a nutritionist. And yeah, it's little things you can control. Is just basic things like eating well and hydrating. And I suppose, look, there is a kind of a, I don't want to say fad, but young fellas are mad for protein shakes and all that kind of thing. And look, I was that soldier as well. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. But if you've a good diet, it's definitely a good starting point.
I think so, and I think it's important that people hear that, like from like yourself, that those things are not that important. Like, worry about the big percentages, like your day-to-day diet, how much you're sleeping. You worry about that, and all the wee things take care of themselves.
Yeah, and again, look at it. It's about how hard you're training. Ultimately, how hard you're training. Like, if you're going through if you're eating well, and you're hydrating, and you're going through a really, really tough period of training or games, and your body's sore, well, then have your protein shake, and get that into you and recover well. But like, if you're going out and you're just doing it, like if you're a runner or something like that, and you're just doing a couple of kilometers, and next thing you're lashing back a couple of Moojus every night, and chocolate milks, you don't really need that. So that's something maybe just to be careful with. Like,
I think even just for general health, even if you're not playing at the top level, even if you're not playing at all, just by sleeping a wee bit more and just incorporating a wee bit more veg into your diet, eating a wee bit more, and not sitting down the entire day, you will feel better mentally and physically. Like, it's amazing how much better you feel.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely agree with
that. You played for Ireland, didn't you, in Shinty?
Yeah. Got picked probably.
First of all, just describe what Shinty actually is.
Okay, so Shinty is played in Scotland, up in the Highlands of Scotland. Very similar to hurling. Basically, to cut a long story short, it is you can't kick the ball or you can't handle the ball in Shinty. You can't kick the ball or handle the ball, and their stick is much longer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hybrid game. It's basically it's like Aussie rules, the Aussie rules game that we play Gaelic football, against the Australians. So I've probably had 10 tests against Scotland. There's normally a home and away, so it's played in Inverness, and then wherever in Ireland. There was a game in Nolan Park, there was one in Croke Park, but it's the highest you can play for your country in hurling. Yeah. So something I'm very, very proud of and very honoured to have done, and brilliant to have played at that level. One of my own club mates, actually, Damien Healy, he'd be a meat hurler for the last 5 or 6 years. The two of us got picked on 2 particular years actually to play. So that was amazing to have your own club mate playing with you as well. For your country. But tough game now. I got some
very physical, is it?
Oh, I got some serious bangs in mother of God, my shin. To get 8 or 9 stitches. I thought I was after breaking my leg, to be honest. But broke the shin pad and everything. Jesus. But cut got infected and everything. But sure, look. So it was a dirty old game. I was kind of brought over as a man marker to mark their main forward. He was handy now. He could hit a ball over on the ground from 60 or 70 yards like a golfer.
Really?
So they put the ball down. Like, if it's a free, they put it down. Like any sidelines or anything like that, it was important to keep the ball in play, because he just put the ball down on the sideline and he'd whip it over from the ground. It's amazing strike of a ball actually with their stick. But there'd be clips on YouTube and stuff like that. But yeah, loved playing the Shinty, and hopefully maybe in future years maybe I might get another go at it.
Yeah, it's I think it's amazing the fact you get to represent Ireland. Like, you're probably you have very few opportunities to do that, don't you? Like, you know, unless you're playing for Ireland soccer team or something. But it's an amazing thing to be able to represent Ireland. Like,
Yeah, you so obviously you have the international rules, Gaelic football. Then you have the shinty, for hurlers. Obviously the Railway Cup now is kind of gone. I got picked in the Railway Cup 1 year for the hurlers actually, and the second thing was cancelled. It was in December, and I remember driving down to Galway on the way down, and a storm had hit Galway, so it was called off. But
I'm surprised that has never got bigger. Like, I always thought that's a great idea, just never really took off or something.
I was devastated when it was called off. Like, I remember driving down, driving now Yeti at the time, and I thought it was going to blow off the road. With the wind that was coming, I says, this is not going to go ahead. The next thing I got a text message in Ballinasloe saying the game was called off, or the weekend was called off. It was in December time. I was devastated because, you know, a Meath hurler playing Railway Cup. I think there was a load of Kenny boys and Wexford lads and Offaly lads and Dublin boys at the time, and I think it's a fantastic tournament and pretty. I don't know how they can't make it work a bit better. Like, I remember my father saying he used to go to games in the 50s and the 60s, and there'd be 70,000 at the games, the Railway Cup football games, and that.
That's crazy.
So it's disappointing to see it not kind of on the fixture list at the moment. Maybe something can be done in future.
It would be good to see it back, like. But I think it's, you know, whether it's representing Ulster or Ireland, that's an impressive thing. Like, definitely is. You're probably pretty well known for the fact you do a lot of gym training, and I think that's probably, like we were saying earlier, it's one of the reasons why you've been in the game so long. How did you get in the gym training in the first place?
Actually, I remember one of my first gym sessions when I got called in with Sean Boylan, and I didn't have a clue what to do. I never lifted a weight in my life. Like, you got to think back now. This is October, November 2004.
Yeah.
I was only about 18.
Wouldn't have been mainstream at all then?
No, not at all. It was only becoming kind of popular because, like, Armand Tyrone in 02, 03, like, McGeaney was one of my heroes, like, and still is one of my heroes. Kieran McGeaney from Armagh. Would have read up on him a lot, and you know that gym culture then, them boys was, you know, it was kind of almost bodybuilding at that in that era. Everything evolves and changes. Yeah. So, first couple of nights, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I never bench pressed or squatted in my life, but all of a sudden then, after a few months, I was with a couple of the bigger lads, so obviously I was able to kind of lift fairly well, and something that came naturally to me, like, you know, and it's something then that I've probably just kept up throughout my career. I think it's helped me in playing for so long, and prevention of injuries. I don't, touch wood, get injured that often, muscle wise or soft tissue wise. Now people might be saying, "Jez, Mick, you're not running fast enough," but I generally get contact injuries more so than a soft tissue. So I would definitely put down the gym work to helping my body become more
resilient.
Yeah, and durable.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's I try to get across to people, because you know, a lot of people do still say the thing, like, you can't kick a weight over the bar, and we all know that, but I try to understand that it's, if you're doing it for Gaelic, or for hurling, it's to keep you on the pitch. You know, it's to keep you more durable, it's to keep you being able to last the season. And like this year, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of the boys in my club and different clubs, and a lot of them, you know, have got through it without really any injuries or anything too bad. And not saying it's me, but I'm saying the fact that they have done a good sort of season of gym training has definitely helped. Like, might not make you any better in terms of skill, but gives you a better chance of staying on the pitch. Definitely,
100%. Look, you can't have that small-minded mentality of, oh, you can't kick a weight over the bar, or what's the other one? You know, weights slow you down. Like, you can't have that closed mindset. So, for me, it's about, look, not going to lie, everyone kind of wants to look good as well. You know, you want to look fit, but on top of that, for me, I love training, and it's good for my mind.
Yeah.
I love going to the gym, or I love getting a sweat on of some sort. So it's good for my mind, it's good for my mental health. and again, to make myself more durable, like aside from a couple of massive contact injuries, I've been pretty lucky, and from reading all different books and different guys like Brad Thorne would have been another guy that I would have researched a lot. The New Zealand rugby player, and he played league as well, which I love, and came to Leinster, and he was a huge advocate of the gym and how it kept him on the pitch. And so there's so many examples that I could of guys in the gym.
Do you know what the thing is? And I think like you've clearly studied all of it, and it's something I would have done. You look at the top performers in any field, and they leave wee clues and wee secrets behind. And then a lot of the top boys, whether it be in any kind of sporting industry, like good examples like Tiger Woods. Like Tiger Woods came in and was like the first golfer to start doing gym training. Completely different sport, but still the fact that like everyone was saying you can't do that there, that will not help, and it ended up becoming probably the most successful golfer ever. He's still actually doing a bit now. All these people leave wee clues behind, and I think it's important to do your own research and figure that out.
Even Gary Player, the Dark Knight, I think he's well over 80 now, and he's banging out 200 or 300 push-ups a day. But he was doing squats. He was doing squats in the 50s before going out to play golf, and people were looking at him going, "Who is this nut job? What is he at?" And he'd get someone on his back, and he'd be doing squats, and he'd be bench pressing. He's still doing it, and he's obviously Gary Player is a South African part of the big tree. I'm not a huge golf man, but there's a clue to that he's still in good shape now at his old age. He did really well in golf, and he looks fantastic as well for his age at the moment, which is, so the proof is in the pudding there. He's obviously did something right.
Yeah, I think so, and I think now people are starting to see that and starting to sift through the kind of bullshit that you see on Instagram or online, and you boil it down to just. And I would say it's probably similar to the work that you do. You do the foundational movements and just do them consistently, like. Yeah,
look, you're going to have spoofers in every walk of life, Oisin, But I think that what you're doing with your own thing here, your podcast and your own strength and conditioning Instagram is brilliant and very good and very informative. And you're one of the good guys, as the fella says. What you're doing, and keep her lit by it.
Appreciate that. I'm intending to anyway. You are finished up with meet now. What's your kind of programming looking like yourself? Are you just going off your own program? Do you get coached, or what are you doing yourself?
Well, I do keep in contact with the Meath S&C for a bit of running or a bit of gym work. Obviously back to the club now, so the club season is kind of winding up in Meath. We're senior football and senior hurling. Tiny parish, very small club. It's our first year senior football in probably 80 years. We're actually in the relegation playoff now. We've had a bit of a nightmare of a year. We've had a lot of injuries. We literally only have about 17, 18 players in our club. We're a tiny club. So we're really punching above our weight, and both lads play the same. We have the same team in both codes, if that makes sense. So we have the exact same group. I think there's only 2 footballers only. It's like for our last senior football game, we had 9 guys injured, and we had to bring a load of boys from the second team, like who like wouldn't play first team football.
Yeah.
But so anyway, to cut a long story short, we played the senior hurling quarter final yesterday, and we won, thank God. So we're in the semi final this weekend coming. Senior hurling semi final in Meath. We've only ever won one senior hurling championship, 1936, and we've the relegation of football then. Not sure when that's going to be, maybe in a week or two. But as regards training, I do my training with the club. Pitch sessions, I'd obviously maybe do a little bit more. Maybe if I stay out for a run, or bit more practicing and that, and keep my gym work up. My gym work would probably consist of Olympic lifts, squats, deadlifts, chins. I put on muscle very easily.
Yeah.
Oisin, I seem to look at a weight, and it's just my genetic. Some guys would struggle to. I don't know about yourself, but some guys would struggle to. I see some of my best friends at the club, and they'd be in the gym with me as much, and they'd be pouring grub into them, and just can't put it on. Whereas I need to be careful, because I can get bulky very, very quick.
Yeah.
And I did make that mistake probably 6-7 years ago. I look back at a few photos myself and Leinster finals and stuff like that, and I was bloody massive, like.
Too big, you think?
Probably, but I was trying to do the right thing. You
Yeah.
know, like it was a time when it was just changing again. We're talking about evolving and moving with the times. It was probably after breaking my leg. I broke my leg in 10, and for 11 and 12 I got massive. I went to the gym, like, and I was like, this. I was kind of saying to myself, this is not going to happen to me again. I'm going to really protect myself, and you know, when I look back at a 2012 Leinster final, and I was enormous. Like, I could have been maybe 95 kgs playing cornerback, Mark and Paul Mannion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, he was only a young fella coming on the scene, and you know, I was using my experience and my probably a bit of John as well, and a bit of whatever. But you know, again, I had to try and move then again with the time. And I'm looking at a few of the podcasts yourself, the Troughton boys, and it's a leaner game now. It's almost Aussie rules now, nearly. Do you know? So it's about evolving and moving, and I think that's something that I've possibly, like, look at, we're talking about Ryan Giggs there earlier. He was a bullet of a left midfielder up and down the line, skinning lads, and then he kind of changed his game a little bit, and then he ended up playing centre or mid for United in the last few years, and he was 40 or 41. So it's about changing.
It does, like, and I think it'll change again very soon. And but I do think it comes back to, if you just do those basic things like you're chatting about, like, if you can do them, do the Olympic lifts, do the big movements. If you do that there, no matter what way it changes, they'll always kind of be the mainstay of every program, like, you know, or every type of training.
I think the compounds are always there, aren't they? Your bench, your squat, your deadlift, your chin, whatever, your chin ups. I think they're always going to be there. They're there for a reason, as we're saying. They've been there for so long. The other things are just maybe to. And don't get me wrong, we love going in and we love doing a bit of an arm session or a bit of a here and there. Like, let's not lie. But I think if you're doing them well and you're making gains in the compounds, you know, you're like your Olympic lifts they're very, very hard to recover from, even if you're doing them right, you know, in a session. So they're your power movements, and you see what the sprinters are doing and things like that. The rugby guys. So keep it them if you're at.
I think that's, you know, it's sort of said about people leaving clues, like all these big teams. If you go on YouTube and put in, like, England rugby team session, GWS Giants gym session, it's all there, like, you know, and you sort of just take wee things from that and figure out why they're doing it, and then you try and work it into your own program and see, you know, if it would work for you. But it does all come back to the compound movements just done consistently, like.
Yeah, doing the compound movements, doing them well, doing them with good technique. Obviously, then you can ramp up the weights if you've good experience with them. But go to someone like yourself. Olympic lifts is probably it's a little bit trickier. Obviously, you know yourself. You got to start small. Even start with a broom or you know, because it is tricky, the lift and the technique, isn't it? So
the transitions between them, like Olympic lifting, I think with CrossFit becomes more popular, but it is brilliant, but it just does take a long time to actually figure it out. So if you can do it and do it well, I think that's a real benefit to your athleticism, because it shows you have mobility, it shows you you're able to generate a bit of power, and it shows you can think whilst doing this high powered movement, which is really good, but it is hard to do. It
is like, I remember 2011, Seamus McEnany, Banty, came in to manage us, and he brought Marty McElcannon with him, and I remember being in the gym and he was trying to teach us how to do this in 2011, and it took me ages to get the movement and get my
the front rack and all that,
you know, and but again, I wanted to learn, wanted to improve, and I think that's important as well. You know, to go outside your boundaries. Don't be comfortable just doing the same. Challenge your body to different exercises and different training sessions, and vary it. And you know, you'll see, because your body will, as we all know, if you're doing the same session all the time, your body will adjust and get used to it.
Yeah. Diet's obviously, like you chatted, something you're really interested in. How important has diet been to playing and your performance over the past couple of years?
Oh, diet has been huge. As I was saying, going back to studying nutrition, so it's something I'm passionate about and interested in. And I would have been siphoning through books and Google and seeing what different guys are doing. Yeah, I don't really take dairy. I don't really take gluten.
Mm-hmm.
I've never got tested for it, so I'm not going to say I'm a celiac or but I feel better without it. We have the most celiacs in the world, actually, Ireland.
Really?
We do, yeah. They say it's because we're an island nation and we're all kind of
Yes.
related to each other in some way, shape or form, nearly. But so yeah, I feel better without it, and probably the only bit of gluten that I would have really is I'd have porridge oats maybe on the day of a game or something like that, maybe. Or I like sourdough bread kind of as well. But it's definitely something that has kept me playing for a long time and injury free and getting the proper nutrients in, my veggies and my fruit, and
would the majority of your diet then be kind of vegetable based and good meat, or
it would be I've done them all. I've tried them all. I tried the eating loads of carbs and carb loading and intermittent fasting was my most recent one that I was doing.
What do you think of it?
I think it's fine. I think it's a good way of restricting your calories.
Yeah.
On a day if you're unsure, so you only have that window of so many hours to eat in. As long as you don't gorge in those few hours, and you go AWOL mad and you just start eating everything around you. But no, I found intermittent fasting good. I definitely really leaned up a bit.
I had been playing about with it there for the past couple of weeks too. Up until probably about last week, I really liked it.
Yeah.
As same as yourself, I thought I leaned down a lot whenever I was doing it. And one of the things I kept hearing a lot was that you were a wee bit sharper mentally, because you're always in this nearly like a state of hunting for food.
Yeah.
I did like it, and I think now with football being over, it's something I'll get back into the habit of doing. I think it is good keeping yourself within that time period and not eating too. Like I used to, I would come in from work maybe at 8:30 or 9 and sit down and have my big dinner, and then you're going to bed after that, and it doesn't leave you having a good sleep and stuff. So I thought it was good, like.
Yeah, no, I do. I have to say, and maybe with football being over, maybe not having the same intensity of training.
That's the only thing. It's maybe hard to balance it if you're playing games frequently and you want to make sure you get enough food in you before the games. I think that's just one of the areas that you maybe have to do a bit more research in, like.
Yeah, it was just brought to me because I was at the start of the year. The management and the S&C felt that I needed to maybe just lose a bit of the bulk. My body fat is pretty low, but they wanted me to lose a bit of muscle mass. So it was tough. Losing muscle is actually is tough, and I put myself through hell with that intermittent fasting. Jesus, man, it was tough.
Sort of fasting windows were you doing? Like 16:8, 18:6 or?
18:6 I was doing. And I was only taking in maybe 1,500, 1,800 calories a day max really? Now. And the headaches I was getting, and your training, the volume of training we were doing, and it was tough. Now I'm not saying that's the right thing for people to do, but it was hard to break down. I needed my body to eat away at itself without getting injured, with training to the intensity that we were training with Mead and trying to lose a bit of muscle. So it was a very, very tricky one. But I would say for people who maybe are carrying a bit of weight and who want to lose a bit of weight easily, possibly, that it's a good method and it's not bad. But
I think so. There's a good book, Obesity Code.
Right.
It's just about how the body responds to insulin, basically, and one of the things that causes obesity is this insulin resistance. And basically, like our normal diet is you wake up and you're eating, and insulin's constantly spiking throughout the day, and that makes you more resistant to it, and that's what actually leads to you putting on weight and struggling to get weight off. Whereas if you limit that to a smaller period, you decrease your insulin resistance, basically. It's pretty interesting. I chatted to a different nutritionist about it, and they were kind of 50-50, like it makes a bit of sense, but it's not completely conclusive
of
either.
course. And there's a lot of things like that out there, but like the breakfast one, as you're saying, is like people wake up straight away, boom, I need to have big bowl of porridge, or I need to have 3 slices of toast with an egg, and your body doesn't necessarily need that straight away.
Yeah.
Like I love having a couple of coffees in the morning and actually train on empty. I always train on empty personally, because I feel better doing it, and I enjoy the set. Like even if I had a pitch session with Mead, some guys have to eat something before they go out like that, and you need to get up at 8 o'clock and have a bowl of porridge. I just couldn't do that because I wouldn't feel good with that.
You'd feel sluggish, like, wouldn't you?
Sluggish, like. So I have me couple of coffees, have me water, and I go out and I do my gym or I do my pitch. That's just me. Then I'll eat.
Yeah, I think sometimes people think they have to do this, or they have to have a meal beforehand. Like, you don't really. Sometimes there's best practices, and what works best for you. But I think it's maybe it's going maybe too far, but it's not good to get yourself in the mindset that you have to have something before a game, or you have to do something before training, because there will come a time whenever you can't do that, and then how does your head react to it? Whereas if you've been training and you don't eat anything, maybe something happens before a game, you have to rush to it, you can't stop and get any food, but in the back of your mind you're like, I'm okay here, I'll be alright. I know it's a bit of an extreme example, but I think it's good not to get yourself into that fixed mindset either.
You're dead right. You got to be able to look. What happens if you go to a championship final and you forget your sock, or something like so? Like, not the world isn't perfect and not everyone is perfect. So, you have to, I suppose, be aware for all situations and all anything that can happen. Yeah, so after having a bit of a blank there now, you'll have to edit that.
You're right. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what way. I think diet's going to become bigger and bigger now within Gaelic, the same way gym training has. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over the next few while. And if anything becomes the mainstay, or if any method becomes the best one. But it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and there's there's changes. As you said, all the time there's different things coming in. There's intermittent fasting now. Like, the next big thing could be eating. Everything changes, but there's no doubt that recovery and diet they're probably two of the most buzzwords in GAA at the moment, and probably in sport, and sleep as well now is obviously huge. But
it's amazing to see how Gaelic for so long kind of was very amateur, and now within the past couple of years it's like exploded into like everyone's trying to do every wee thing, the recovery, the nutrition, the training. It's went from 0 to 100 very quickly. Like, I'm sure you've really seen that. Like,
I have, yeah. Like, even when I started back off, it was the gym was only starting out. Like obviously if you have pool sessions straight away, it's a complete different shift, and I think it's great because you're playing at that level. What you want to do, like, you want to improve, you want to be the very best you can be. I'd love to be a professional athlete. I'd love to get paid for what I do.
Yeah.
But the mentality that I've had throughout my career is that I said to myself, I'm going to look back on this and have no regrets, and I'm going to be a professional athlete, basically, for want of a better word, and prepare properly and do everything right. But there's a huge, even in club football and hurling, there's a massive shift in professionalism, and so look, I think it's great. The GAA is an amazing organisation, and if the standard was poor, or if it was, I wouldn't be playing. Like, I wouldn't have been interested. I'd be gone off doing something individual. So it's constantly evolving, constantly changing. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see what football and hurling are like in 40 years' time. Whether it will be,
you
don't know.
You can't see it maintaining that. It just is going more professional, like, and more and more professional. But I think Dublin's gives you a kind of good wee insight at the minute. I would love to get in and see what's actually going on in there in terms of the professionalism they have and the systems they have in place. They seem to be very quiet and everything, but I think that's giving you a wee glimpse of what it's going to be like in 10, 20, 30 years' time, but probably will be magnified then.
Yeah, you don't get much out from the Dublin scene, but I read Jackie Tyrrell's book, Kilkenny Hurler. He would have 9 All-Ireland medals. He played cornerback for Kilkenny, and you know, I would have been a huge Kilkenny supporter and watching Brian Cody and all that. And what I'm trying to get to is, we're talking about Dublin there, and it was like Kilkenny were like Dublin there, winning All-Irelands for fun. But bizarrely enough, they had very primitive training resources in Kilkenny. They hardly had lights.
Right.
They were the last team in the country to get tight fit jerseys. They were the last team in the country to get GPS units. So, but what they had was, they had an incredible spirit. They had a never say die attitude. They had honesty, and he spoke a lot about this, because I was expected, you know, to read up about the Kilkenny boys pumping iron like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, the stats. They had none of this, and you know, it was just really, really. I was there going, wow. They said many's the time. Well, he said twice it happened that they trained in St. Kieran's College, which is the hurling hotbed secondary school in Kilkenny, and they trained out there in the winter, right up to the end of the league. And he said the lights were absolutely horrendous in it. You couldn't see the ball hardly. Couple of nights they had to go running with the car lights on. The lights went off.
Yeah.
Now, obviously that didn't happen every night, but just found it very, very interesting. But the main thing was, he said everyone, every night that they went out, gave it 100%, and you know, a lot to be said for that as well.
There is, like, and I think obviously we chat a lot about these things, but I think if you have a group of players and you have a lot of honesty and boys that are willing to take ownership of the thing, you will go a far, far way. Like, with that, everything else is a wee advantage onto that. But if you have that to start with, you're in a good place, like, aren't you?
Definitely. Like the gym, the diet, hydration, stretching, compression gear, you know, all them kind of things are fantastic. But I suppose the thing that's probably, I'm just speaking personally, and you know, I'm not a big-headed fella, but maybe it's my mentality ultimately that has kept me going and got me to where I am. I wanted to go further than other lads. I wanted to push myself harder than other boys.
Yeah.
There's been way better footballers than me knocking within the county, and a bit like Jackie Turr, like, you know, every night I went out in the field, whether it was raining or snowing, I ground lads down, and I wanted to. I had that mentality that there's been so many better footballers than me in the county, and if someone was probably looking 15, and I know people in the county still say it about me, you know, how's that lad, like, how is he playing for me? But I will outwork your man. I haven't seen a lad yet. There's very few. Donald Keoghan is pushing me now at the moment. He's a machine. But like, I fought and I fighted lads, and mentality, having a really, really strong mind is so important. And I've had plenty of kicks in places that you don't want to get kicks. Yeah. You know, and come back from it.
Yeah, no, I think that's important that people hear that too, because obviously we do chat a lot about these other things, but whenever it's in your head that, and you hear it from these winning teams and winning players, when it's in your head that you won't be beat, and when it's in your head that you're going to work harder than anyone else, it's very, very hard to break that. Like,
yeah, like, you know, if there's any young fellas listening, like, I wasn't on the mead team under 14, 15, 16. I was knocking around the squads, right, but I wasn't on the team. Under 17 we went up north and we played Down and we played Armagh, and all of a sudden I was playing centre back when I was under 17. I was kind of like that's a bit weird, but I had a bit of a growth spurt and I developed a little bit, and physically I would have probably been small and carrying a bit of puppy fat maybe as a young fella. Got picked for the minors, but like, just the under 17 thing, just, you know. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're not the best player or you're not getting game time, you know, don't put your head into the sand. Keep trying to improve and keep trying to. Sure, how many times do you see, like I got picked for the Ireland under 17 trials, the Aussie rules. Just had a good year, and it's like everything came at once, you know. I developed, and my confidence, and big news around the village, getting to go for the under 17 Aussie rules. So you got letters in the post. You passed this trial. You're now into the last trial. Jeez, 3 games against Australia. This would be something else. This is Longwood. Village of 300 people. No one played football for Meath. Next team getting a trial for But 4 Meath lads went for the trial. 3 boys made it. I was the only lad who didn't make it. I remember coming home and you knew by the stamp it's the Aussie rules trial. It's the squad. Didn't make it. Oh my Jesus! The tears started flowing. By God, I was running out in the snow and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was running because I felt it was the right thing to do.
But that probably motivated you, probably more than anything else.
It did, but the other 3 guys never played senior football for Meath.
Really?
And I don't mean to be the great lad saying that. It gives me no pleasure saying it, but I'm just trying to say I got a massive kick. It was devastating. It was devastating. But maybe if I made it, maybe I would have thought I was the great lad. Maybe I would have got a big head.
That's the thing, and you see it a lot, like growing up. Whenever you're under 14, 15, there was these boys that were the next big thing, the prodigies, and you look now and if they are playing, they're maybe not unbelievable, or half of them don't make it. I think it is that thing. Do you see, once you're told your whole life that you're brilliant and you're excellent, you think, I don't need to do anything. I've got it all sorted here.
Yeah.
And that's a bad mindset to get when you're 14 or 15. People probably still get it whenever they're older too, and people go, hey, you're brilliant, you're doing really well. I think, sure, what else do I need to do?
Yeah.
But whenever you're constantly told that maybe you're not good enough, maybe you need to improve on things, like as I was saying to you beforehand, I was always told I was the slowest person. Cart horse, everyone called me a cart horse. Still am, to be fair. But that led me to go into learn about strength conditioning. Now I have a gym, now I'm chatting to you and doing the podcast. So sometimes it's not the worst thing when people are saying shit like that to you.
Absolutely.
It motivates you in a different sort of way, in a better way.
Definitely. Alex Ferguson, I agree with you 100%. Like Alex Ferguson says, 2 of the best words in the dictionary are well done. Saying well done to someone. But I think that maybe kids nowadays and everyone in general, everything is well done. Like you give a hand pass, well done. Like you give it. And my father was a huge disciplinarian, very, very a brilliant father. Like he played a bit of football and goals for me. He was from a different club. He bought the pub, came into the village. But it was never lovey-dovey in my house. Like it was nearly what were you doing that for? At under 12 or under 10? Why we get, like, in a way it was probably too much, right, the other way. But I agree completely that Everton now is just mollycoddled a little bit and very soft, and geez, there's no harm in a bit of tough love. And as you said, look,
no, definitely
now you're driven to try and get quicker. You have your gym, and I'm kind of delighted my father was like that with me. He kept telling me to practice with my left foot. He plagued me. Dad, look at my right foot. No, he'd be saying, what about your left? What about your left foot? So
it's standards, isn't it? Like, if you have high standards, that controls everything.
It does. And like I said, I had a great upbringing. I don't mean to be saying bad about my father there, a gas man, but I did have high standards, and I wanted to improve, and I wanted to learn, and those little, like the Aussie rules is one thing that just sticks in my mind. Breaking the leg, 2010, everyone's saying he's finished now. He won't get the pace back. He was slow enough anyway. He'll break his leg. He won't come back from that. And that was just more motivation and to improve and to get better and drive on.
Yeah, I think it's that's an important thing for people to hear, that you can't actually be content with where you're at either. No matter how good you're playing, no matter what level you're at, if you start to get content and think, I've got it all sorted, you're on the way down. Like, that goes for football or even work or life in general.
Keep trying to improve. Sure, the world is your oyster. You can go to, inhibitions are just in the mind. You can go to whatever level you want, and there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be challenges. It's very rare. We'll just take a football career. He's just after coming into my head there now. It's very rare you're going to be a Brian Fenton who's hasn't lost a championship match. He's played every single game for Dublin and for 5 or 6 years, and he hasn't lost it's rare that happens. So you're going to have setbacks, but just deal with them right. Talk to someone if you're struggling with it, and I'd be saying definitely don't put your head in the sand. Come out swinging.
Definitely, it's the only way to do it. I think that's a good place to end there. That's an hour we done as well. Yeah, it was brilliant. Actually, what we'll finish on is the wee quick fire round. So I've asked these in the past couple of quick questions. First one, your best GAA moment.
We'll go with winning the Intermediate Football Championship with the club last year. That's just the first thing that comes to me.
It's funny you say that. Of like Connell and Mark that I asked, it all revolved around club.
Yeah.
Even Mark's was like All Ireland, but he said very closely followed by club championship.
Yeah, your club was very special. We'd been in 3 relegations to go down to Junior A. We were intermediate, and we were in 3 relegations in a row, and we won the championship. Last year it was mad. Like if the bookies at the start of the year, if you asked who the bookies would be getting relegated, like Longwood would be. It was like a Leicester City winning the Premiership. That's the only thing I can compare it to. It was mad. So we're in our first year senior football in about 80 or 90 years, and that was really special in the village. A small community on the Kildare border. Fantastic.
That's amazing. Worst GAA moment.
Worst GAA moment. Losing a couple of Leinster finals to Dublin was very tough. Breaking the leg, I suppose, was I didn't know how that was going to go. You were worried at the time. Were you going to get back? But something else will probably come into my head later on, but I'd say they'd be off the top of my head.
Best score you've ever taken?
Best score?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, lad, I haven't got too many of them in Meath, unfortunately.
You're in the corner back line usually, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in corner back, yeah, but I can play. I played half forward last year against Tyrone. Working back, got a decent point against Tyrone last year in the championship, but I've kicked a few for Longwood now. A few for Longwood, but poked a few. But no, I'm kind of stopping lads Oisin more so than scoring.
That's what I tell myself as well. Best drinking session after one, or best partying session?
Oh my God!
If you can remember.
Oh, there's been a few of them. Went in a few. We bet Mayo in the All Ireland quarter final in 2009. Jeez, we did a mental session after that. It's mad. That could have been a Sunday night. Did that. Obviously, I live in a pub. Lying upstairs in bed. I live above the pub. Got a phone call at about 8 o'clock off a few of the Mead boys saying, Burke, we're on our way out to you there. Open up that pub, and lads, right, grand. Like they were jarred, and jeez, 8:30, I heard the knocking on the door, and it was the boys, and we went down at 8:30, and we started drinking, and we made it to Coppers that night. That's not a word of a lie.
I'd say you don't
are
have
we
much
allowed to put that
memory
up
of
in
it.
the podcast? That was mental. But great memories. You bet Mayo in the quarter final, and then you got down to work after that. But I think at the same time, sorry, I know it's quick fire, but Everton is very serious nowadays, and there is no harm. Of all the autobiographies I read, and I'm not a big drinker. I was born and reared in a pub. I'm not a mad drinker. I was a few years ago, but they all say that there's nothing like a bonding session on the beer.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, you can do quizzes, you can do fun games, fun events, go off and
There's something to be said for
it breaks down barriers.
It does. Toughest opponent?
Andy Moran, Mayo, Gooch Cooper, Stephen O'Neill was very tough as well. Marta, all the boys, but Andy Moran for his strength and his movement. He wasn't unbelievably quick, but he was a serious man to move. And the Gooch was just left, right. He could turn a sixpence. Paddy Bradley was good now as well. Paddy was coming to the end of his time with Derry, but they were tough. They were tough cookies to Marcus and all them boys. But I'd probably go with Andy and Gooch just off the top of my head.
Lastly, I think we've kind of half covered this anyway, but best advice for any young players?
There's probably no, golden nugget, or there's no exact answer to this. I'd say do your best. train hard. If you have setbacks, you know, come out fighting, and be willing to learn and practice. And I'm probably giving you a lot of things there, but you know, it's there's no secret. The secret is there's no secret. It's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah, it's consistency. Have the honey badger mentality. Just
exactly. Yeah. It's not the size of the dog. It's the fighting the dog.
That's it. Hey, thanks very much. That was good. Appreciate the time.
I hope that was okay.
That was good.